Did you know that the Cold War lasted for over 4 decades, shaping global politics and society? Following the pivotal events of World War II, two superpowers emerged, the United States and the Soviet Union. Their ideologies were as starkly different as night and day, capitalism versus communism. This ideological divide sowed the seeds of mistrust, leading to a complex web of political maneuvering and strategic alliances that would define global relations for decades to come. NATO was established in April 1949, when the United States and 11 other nations formed an alliance against the looming threat of the Soviet Union. This decision came after World War II, as Western countries sought to bolster their defenses amid the rising Cold War tensions. The creation of NATO marked a pivotal moment in global geopolitics, symbolizing the division between East and West. In the early days, member states pledged mutual support, recognizing that any attack on one would be considered an attack on all. This alliance quickly grew, encompassing North America and Europe, forming a formidable defense against potential Soviet aggression during the Cold War era. In March 1947, President Harry Truman declared the United States would support free peoples resisting attempted subjugation by armed minorities or by outside pressures. This commitment marked a pivotal shift in U.S. foreign policy, embarking on an era of global anti-communist intervention. Think of it as America's first Cold War firewall, defending Greece and Turkey from Soviet influence, while setting the stage for decades of ideological warfare. In the aftermath of World War II, the United States recognized that economic instability in Europe was fertile ground for communist ideologies. Thus, the Marshall Plan emerged as an unprecedented $13 billion aid package offered to rebuild Western European economies. This monumental gesture not only saved millions from poverty, but also laid the groundwork for a prosperous alliance against the Soviet Union's influence. The plan's success underscored America's commitment to global stability and its strategic vision in preventing the spread of communism during the Cold War era. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union took an unprecedented and dramatic step by blocking all land and water routes to West Berlin. This move, known as the Berlin Blockade, lasted for almost a year in 1948–1949. The blockade aimed to assert control over the divided city, but faced a daring response from the Western Allies. They airlifted supplies into West Berlin using hundreds of planes. Planes took off every few minutes day and night, delivering vital food, fuel, and other necessities. This operation was called Operation Vittles, and it involved aircraft flying through the clouds, making numerous flights to keep the city supplied. The airlift not only demonstrated the power of air transportation, but also showcased the resilience and unity of Western nations against Soviet aggression. As supplies poured in, the blockade ultimately failed, ending on May 12, 1949, when the Soviets lifted their restrictions. Korea, divided into two hostile nations at the end of World War II, saw its north become a puppet state of communist Russia and China, while its south aligned with capitalist America. This split created a tense border where ideologies clashed, leading to the brutal Korean War from 1950 to 1953, involving over 2 million casualties. The war's outcome, a ceasefire rather than peace treaty, left Korea partitioned at the 38th parallel, symbolizing the global Cold War divide. In October 1962, the Soviet Union secretly installed nuclear missiles in Cuba. The U.S. discovered these weapons and demanded their removal, putting the world on edge of a catastrophic nuclear war. President Kennedy imposed a naval blockade around Cuba, escalating tensions to unprecedented heights. Both superpowers held their breath as the crisis unfolded, the fate of humanity hanging by a thread. This was the Cuban Missile Crisis, 24 days that defined the era and tested global leaders like never before. In the early years of the Cold War, both superpowers raced towards space. The USSR took an unexpected lead when they launched Sputnik 1 in October 1957, becoming the first nation to send a satellite into orbit. This moment was a technological and psychological shock, as it demonstrated the Soviet Union's rapid advancement in space technology. The United States responded with urgency, igniting the space race that would define the Cold War era for decades. In the spring of 1961, as American helicopters and transport planes dropped Cuban exiles near the Bay of Pigs, the invasion failed spectacularly. This ill-fated operation aimed to overthrow Fidel Castro's communist regime, but ended in chaos and humiliation for the United States, with many invaders captured or killed. The world watched in shock as thousands of Cuban troops surrounded the beachhead, while U.S. President Kennedy faced intense criticism back home. This pivotal moment underscored America's failed attempts during the Cold War to directly intervene against Soviet-aligned governments. The United States became deeply embroiled in the Vietnam War, supporting South Vietnam against the North Vietnamese and their allies, the Viet Cong. This conflict was marked by a brutal and protracted guerrilla war that saw U.S. troops fighting from 1965 to 1973. The American intervention included massive airstrikes and large-scale ground operations, such as Operation Rolling Thunder. Despite these efforts, the North Vietnamese and Viet Cong managed to secure victory at the Battle of Dien Bien Phu in 1954, setting the stage for U.S. involvement. The Tet Offensive of 1968 exposed the limits of U.S. military power and turned public opinion against the war, leading to a shift towards peace negotiations that concluded with the Paris Peace Accords in 1973. This conflict was not just about opposing ideologies, but also shaped global geopolitics, influencing events from the Middle East to Latin America. Both superpowers developed nuclear weapons, maintaining the doctrine of mutual assured destruction, MAD. This strategy left both nations with a stark choice. Any use of these weapons would result in catastrophic global destruction. The Soviet Union and United States built elaborate underground command centers to survive potential attacks, symbolizing their unwavering resolve. These bunkers featured state-of-the-art communication systems, ensuring leaders could issue orders even under extreme conditions. One such site, the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, exemplified this fear with its labyrinthine corridors and reinforced concrete walls designed to withstand nuclear blasts. The Cold War's arms race thus became a terrifying dance of deterrence, where each move was calculated to prevent disaster, but left both nations in a state of perpetual tension. In November 1989, the Berlin Wall's fall marked the symbolic end of the Cold War as East Germans streamed into West Berlin, breaking through checkpoints and reclaiming their freedom. This historic moment, captured by thousands of cameras, epitomized the shift from division to unity. The world watched in awe as these once segregated people embraced each other, exchanging hugs and smiles, a stark contrast to the rigid surveillance that had defined life behind the Iron Curtain. The wall's graffiti-drenched remains now stand as a testament to human resilience and the power of collective will, reminding us of the transformative impact a single event can have on global geopolitics. This moment captured the hearts of millions worldwide and heralded a new era of openness and cooperation. In 1991, the Soviet Union officially dissolved, signaling the end of the Cold War era. The walls came down not just in Berlin, but across ideologies as nations grappled with newfound freedom and uncertainty. Leaders like Mikhail Gorbachev faced monumental decisions that reshaped global politics. This collapse was so sudden it felt almost like a mirage, a dream turned reality overnight, affecting economies, cultures, and the very fabric of international relations. The world watched in awe and apprehension as superpowers bid farewell to their Cold War confrontations. The Cold War's legacy continues to shape global politics, with alliances and tensions persisting. Economic impacts are visible in trade policies and military spending that still dominate budgets worldwide. Culture has been deeply influenced too. Think of pop icons like the Beatles embracing Cold War-era iconography. This conflict also spurred technological advancements, from the internet to space exploration, which continue to drive innovation. Its impact is profound. It's hard not to see echoes of those divisions in today's geopolitical climate. Both superpowers engaged in a covert espionage and intelligence war, with each nation deploying spies worldwide to steal military secrets. The KGB and CIA infiltrated each other's embassies, conducted surveillance on diplomats, and even used defectors as double agents. In one notorious incident, the CIA planted listening devices in the Soviet ambassador's residence, which was discovered when the KGB managed to retrieve the equipment from a courier, escalating tensions between the two nations. In 1986, the Soviet Union launched Mir, initiating international cooperation in space. This first modular space station welcomed astronauts from various nations, including the United States and European countries, fostering a unique alliance during tense Cold War years. Astronauts aboard Mir conducted experiments that blurred ideological lines, making it a beacon of peaceful collaboration amidst global tensions. During the Cold War, both superpowers secretly supported Iraq against Iran during the Persian Gulf crisis. The United States provided military aid and intelligence to Saddam Hussein's regime, while the Soviet Union offered support to Iran. When Iraq invaded Kuwait in 1990, the U.S. mobilized a coalition of forces to drive Iraqi troops out, marking the first major military conflict of the post-Cold War era. This intervention, known as Operation Desert Storm, showcased America's global influence and set the stage for future international disputes involving both superpowers. The Gulf War not only reshaped regional politics, but also highlighted the complex dynamics of Cold War-era alliances in a new geopolitical landscape. The Cold War, spanning from the mid-20th century until the early 1990s, left an indelible mark on global politics. It was a period of intense ideological conflict between the United States and the Soviet Union, but their rivalry extended beyond mere words. The war's shadow looms over international organizations like NATO and the Warsaw Pact, which still define the balance of power in Europe today. Its legacy is also evident in nuclear proliferation, where the world teetered on the brink of annihilation during events such as the Cuban Missile Crisis. Beyond security, the Cold War spurred technological advancements, from space exploration to computer science, with projects like NASA Apollo program and the development of ARPANET, a precursor to today's Internet. As we look back, it is clear that this era shaped modern international relations and global security structures in profound ways, setting the stage for the challenges and opportunities of our current world. And that's the full story of the Cold War. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments what topic you want next.